is for Blame Katie, who's last year I've been on lately. So shout out to you, Katie. Um, but you had a very good question that I want to dive into because not a lot of people understand what really happened with that whole situation of me and my ex Kira. So allow me to explain because I actually like this one because it definitely gives an insight on how I am as a person, and you kind of get to see who I am as a person. Now, what really happened, like, let me start from the very beginning here, and then I'll work my way through, and then I will be detouring a little bit just so you can understand in full a lot better how I am as a person. Because there are a couple things where I am going to veer off and explain certain things and whatnot. But let's start from the beginning. So, me and Kira came up in high school together. Alright, we had known each other for like 13 plus years. We had been, dating on and off in high school over the years and whatnot. And then, I ended up moving, she ended up moving, so we ended up losing contact. And at that time, when we were in high school, Facebook wasn't around. So, we didn't, we didn't know how to, reach out to each other. Like I said, back then, Facebook wasn't around. AOL was a thing, but, it is what it is. And then, several years later, we refound each other on Facebook, added each other, and became good friends. By that time, she was already... They ended up pregnant, had a kid together, whatever. Is when Kira's son Callum was born. Noah was barely there, ever, throughout the entire fucking pregnancy. He was off doing dumb shit. So, what happened was when Callum was born, I was the first one outside of the immediate family that she called. And let me tell you, the minute that I laid eyes on Callum, I felt that connection. That kind of connection that you only feel with a father and son. And, something in my heart and in the back of my mind told me, you're going to be that boy's dad one day. And sure as shit, 5 years later, me and Kira are talking and all this other shit. And me and her were like, why are we, hiding being from each other? We've been together before. We've already admitted many times in the past that we wanted to be together, and that we wanted to get married and, spend the rest of our lives together because we knew each other so well and we were on that level that, it felt right. It felt like it was supposed to be. And so we ended up dating. And we had ended up, this is back in last October when me and her ended up together. Now, me being the person I am, the reason why I took to Kira and Callum right away wasn't just because me and Kira have history. No. It was literally, that's the biggest reason, yeah. But another reason is because I know what it's like to not have a dad in my life. Not my biological father, but my adoptive dad. I'm the one that helped my mom raise me since I was born. He was in the military and he was never really there, so to speak. He was never really there. Honestly, he was there, but he wasn't there. Because he was always busy off doing shit. And then him and my mom split. Because this man hadn't reached out to me in years. And I always swore since I was a kid, since I understood what was going on, you know, when I was old enough to like really grasp what was going on. You know, I knew that I didn't want to be anything like that. I wanted to be the opposite of that. I wanted to be that dad that, you know, would be proud to, spend time with his son or his daughter and want to be around my son or daughter. You know, I always knew that. And that's where that all comes from, because I understand what it's like to not have a dad, because like I said, my dad was never really around. And with Callum, I didn't want him to go without having at least some sort of father figure or some sort of dad in his life. And like I said, me and Kara being who we were, you know, she deemed me Callum's dad. Because, like I said before, I was the first one that she called outside of family. I was the one that she reached out to. Immediately, like that day, like not even that day, like that night. Quite literally, like I was there on FaceTime with her, minus like the whole, like, you know, the baby actually being born thing. Besides like the whole, like aside from, you know, Callum being born, I was there for the entire fucking pregnancy, dude. Like, I was on FaceTime with her the entire fucking time. Like, literally the entire time. So, like, I was there for basically the entire thing. And whatnot. Well, now you kind of have an understanding of that. Let's go back to where we were, which is, you know, like I said, in October, me and her got together. You know, I became Callum's dad. And you can even ask, you know, CIA, you can ask 045. I was barely on. Like, I was barely on Facebook because I was spending time with, you know, her, being a dad to Callum, you know, doing what I could on my end of things. And back then I was working full time on my channel. I was actually making money. I was actually doing shit. Well, what had happened was everything was going good from last October up till about January-ish, February-ish. January, like, the trolls found out and they started doing stupid shit and doing dumb shit like they do. Like, making snarky little comments or like, oh, we're gonna find her and yada yada yada. And me and Kira just kind of ignored it. We did. We basically ignored it. We were like, you know, fuck them. You know, we're happy with where we're at. You know, we're not letting anybody, you know, bother us. It is what it is. And so we just went about our lives, you know, as a couple, as parents. You know, I would help Callum with, you know, his homework as much as I could and whatnot. I'd keep him busy on the weekends and whatnot. We'd play games together and shit like that. Like, it was fun. I actually enjoyed it. Well, fast forward to around the first or second week of February. That's when stuff started getting really bad. You know, the trolls had ramped everything up by a lot, and this is when things took a dark turn. And with what happened, what went down, to this day, it still haunts me. Not like in that way, but but it's still a stark reminder of how evil the troll community can be. The troll community had just located Kira after finding her and searching and doing research. They eventually found where she lived, where she was staying at, which was a homeless shelter at the time. And they had spent a month and a half, probably, working on this, plan to get everything together. What they did was beyond fucked up. They had sent this troll into the place after they confirmed where the homeless shelter was. They sent a troll into that very same homeless shelter. Now, this dude didn't come off as a troll at first. He didn't. He did not come off as a troll at first. This dude just seemed like a genuine dude or whatever. But what threw me off about this guy was something didn't sit right. In the back of my mind, I knew that him coming off as a good dude, just something was the fuck. Well, this dude, who is now her boyfriend, he showed up to the homeless shelter and claimed to know Kira when he really didn't. This dude even sat down and, we all talked, and he had flat out said, I know you, we've talked on Discord several times, referring to me. He was hey, we've talked before, yada, yada, yada. We talked on Discord, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And I'm just I don't even know this dude, but I'm going along with it just to see if I can catch him on his bullshit, right? Because I knew this guy was full of shit, and I just wanted to see what else he would say before I called him on his shit. And I sat there and I tried to get this dude to tell me what names he went under on Discord, so I can go back and look at the message and either confirm, yo, we have talked, what's good? Or, hey, this guy's full of shit. I couldn't get him to give me an answer. So, me and Kira and him all talked, and it was around lunchtime or whatever. I pulled her aside, and I told her, I was yo, something don't feel right about this guy. Something feels off. I don't trust this guy. Well, she sat down and talked to him, and come to find out that this guy is supposedly somebody that she knew from her past. But to me, it didn't add up. It did not add up at all. So I told her, I was hey, why don't you call your aunt real quick and confirm this to see if it really is this dude. Maybe I'm just being fucking paranoid, Because at that time I was paranoid because I was getting people sent over here all the time. At one point, police had made a mistake and put me in the back of a cop car looking for somebody else, thinking that something was going on that wasn't going on. So all that went down and all that shit and whatnot. It was just really crazy shit. Flat out. Just crazy stuff. Well, Kira called her aunt, and her aunt did confirm that, that this dude Dominic, which I personally think her aunt didn't see the face, but they had confirmed that, yes, there was someone named Dominic related to her. And at that point, she was alright. Which, for me, just something did not sit right. I couldn't put my finger on it. Because I already caught this, you gotta remember, I already caught this dude in a lie. Okay? I already caught this dude in a massive lie lying to me, saying that, oh, we talked before. Like, I've already got this motherfucker caught in a goddamn lie, and he don't even fucking know it. This dude don't even know that I got him caught up in a fucking lie. Well, fast forward through that entire day, you know, we spent the day talking and whatnot and everything like that. It was me and her and him. We all sat down and talked while spending time with Callum and shit, who is, you know, as you know, Kira's son. Well, fast forward to that night, we all end up going our separate ways. Well, Dominic and the way they ran the homeless shelter was all the dads and the father figures had to stay out in the front room, like out in the front. And then, you know, the moms and the kids went to the back. Well, Kara went to the back, and me and her dude, you know, did like we do every night. We, you know, plugged our phones in and shit, and sat up on FaceTime. You know, we fell asleep on FaceTime together as, you know, we normally did. Because, you know, I couldn't be there, you know, physically, so we made it work. You know, we stayed up on FaceTime, spent all day together, all night together. You know, like we laid down with each other, fell asleep on FaceTime together as we always did. That was our thing. That's what we did. You know, and if it wasn't FaceTime, if it wasn't FaceTime, it was motherfucking Discord and shit. Like, we would video call on Discord sometimes. Like, you know, that's what we did. So, you know, next morning rolls around, just normal everyday routine, you know. Wake up, get Callum ready for school, and while she went out to grab his clothes from the laundry there, because they had a washing machine and everything, and as she's going to grab, you know, Callum's clothes and her clothes from the night before because she accidentally left them in there. Oops. Well, she went to go grab the clothes and whatnot, and I'm there doing like I do every morning, spending time with Callum, you know, having fun with him, joking around with him, being, you know, doing typical dad stuff. Doing normal dad shit. You know, doing what a dad should do as a dad, you know. You know, picking on him, having fun, you know, playing games with him, the whole 9 yards. You know, waiting for Akira to get back with the clothes. She gets back with the clothes. You know, he gets dressed. I'm there talking to him and talking to her. And I'm just waking up, grabbing coffee, just waking up my damn self. I went down, grabbed some coffee, came back up, yada, yada, yada. Typical normal day for, you know, myself. Typical school day for Callum. You know, just a normal fucking morning. You know, he woke up, he's like, morning, Dad. He's like, morning, bud. You know, typical dad, son stuff. You know, typical father, son shit. Well, there was this dude that had been creeping around the homeless shelter for several weeks. And it was fucking weird. So, even though I had a bad feeling about him, I still entrusted the Dominic dude that she's with now. I entrusted him to help get her to the bus stop and to help me to keep an eye. You know, because I knew that there was a weirdo running around. Several people in the shelter had already confirmed it, that there was somebody weird, you know, there was somebody weird around the homeless shelter, and we're just like, the fuck? So, even though against my better judgment, I told Dominic, like, yo, if the call drops between me and Kara, I want you to make sure that, you know, Callum gets on the bus and she gets back to the shelter safe. He said, alright, no problem. Okay, cool. So, me and Kara sat on FaceTime as we always did, because she made sure she had like one of those little mobile pocket chargers that you can get, like those mobile chargers that you can throw in your pocket. And she had one of those, And her phone was already on like 95%. So like she threw it in her pocket and had the phone plugged into it just to make sure that it wouldn't die. So, you know, Calvin's bus gets there. You know, and I did like I do every morning when he gets on the bus and whatnot. You know, I told him, hey, hey, I love you. I'll see you after school. Hope you have a good day, buddy. You know, he's like, I will. And then, you know, he said he loved me too. You know, typical father-son stuff. Well, he gets on the bus to go to school. You know, I told him, hey, I'll see you later when you get home, yada, yada, yada. All that stuff. Well, he gets on the bus to go to school. And Kira and Dominic go to the store real quick to pick up something to drink. Alright, cool, because the store is like right there. It's not far from the shelter. It's like literally right across the street. And so they go over there. And Kira has me in her pocket. That way she can, you know, grab whatever else. You know, grab drinks, groceries, whatever. Well, she goes to do that. And around the time that they had got out, I had remembered that morning, or that night before, Kira had wanted me to remind her to do something. What that thing was, I forget. You know, I forget what that thing was. But I had remembered at that point, I was like, oh shit, yo, Kira, like, did you, like, I went to go tell her, like, hey, Kira, you might want to do, you know, said thing. You know, what I was supposed to remind her of. And no sooner than I hear that, I hear Dominic say, hey, come here. Or no, like, hey, Kira, come here. Soon as no sooner, and then he says that, the call dropped. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, that's weird. Maybe she didn't charge the portable charger all the way. Maybe the phone, you know, died, or maybe she accidentally turned it off, whatever. Didn't think anything of it. Couple hours go by, I tried calling. Couldn't get through at all. Like, I called her like at least 4 or 5 times, trying to get a hold of her just to see what was going on, see if she was okay. So I'm sitting there waiting, you know, waiting 2-3 hours. Still nothing. So I end up calling the shelter there, and I end up talking with one of the staff members that me and Kira had become really good friends with at the time. And, you know, me and him were sitting there talking. He was asking me how I was doing. I told him I was doing good, but, yo, something's up. And he's like, what's going on, dude? And I explained everything, and he's like, all right, let me see if she's here. Because I asked him, I was like, yo, is she there? Because the call dropped when me and her were on the phone. I don't know if, like, maybe her phone died, if she's out and about, yada, yada, yada. So he's like, I don't know, let me go back in the back, you know, meaning in the room and look. He went back there and looked. She wasn't there. And I told him, I was like, yo, like, she left with this Dominic guy. Like, when he got back, he was like, what exactly went on? I was like, you remember that guy that she was with this morning? And he was like, yeah, why? I was like, I got a bad feeling about that guy. I don't know what it is, but just, I got a bad feeling. Just something don't sit right. Because a lot of weird shit's been said the last few days, and I explained everything to him. And even he said the same thing I did. This dude sounds fucking weird. And so I asked him, I was like, what do you think I should do next? He's like, dude, like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but have you tried, you know, calling the police to see what they can do? And whatnot. And I was like, no, like, let me do that real quick. So I did that. And I called the police, did a check. They went and looked for her, couldn't find her. I gave them full description, gave them what she looked like, whole 9 yards. Told them exactly what she was wearing, everything. Police couldn't find her. By this point, I am freaking the fuck out. So I go to hop on Facebook and on Discord to message her, because we had to be each other both on Facebook and on Discord. I know, Captain Obvious over here. But, I went to go message her. I found that I was blocked. And I was like, what the fuck? And by that point, I knew something seriously fucked up was going on. Like, I knew in the back of my mind, something's going on. Something seriously fucked up is going on. And so, I started freaking out. I reached out to CIA. I reached out to everybody that I had introduced her to. Asked any of them if they had heard from her. They all said no. I reached out to her mom, who, I was good friends with. Like, me and her mom got along great. Me and her dad, not so much. Like, he was okay, but I kind of tolerated him. Like, he wasn't the greatest father figure, but he was okay, I guess. Well, I reached out to her mom, explained everything. I was like, because by that time, we were engaged. Like, by the time all this went down, we were engaged after 13 years, of being on and off and whatnot. So, for me, her mom was, my mom as well, in a sense, Not trying to take away from my mom, just saying, like, she was my mother-in-law. So I asked her, I was like, hey, Mom, have you seen Kira at all today? And she's like, no, why? And I was like, because some weird shit went down. And I explained everything. And they tried looking for her and couldn't find her. Tried reaching out and got no response for weeks. And this went on for weeks, mind you. This went on for several fucking weeks, mind you. Well, around March, I found out what happened. That's when I would get my answer. I found out that I one day just, I kind of pushed it into the back of my mind, even though I was worried throughout that entire time span of trying to look for her. I moved on with my life to a certain extent. I didn't fully move on from her because I was still trying to find her. I wanted to make sure she was okay. And at this point, seeing her block me, I was like, what the fuck's going on? Did something happen? I knew something with that Dominic guy had to be up. Like, I knew something was up. Like, something in the pit of my gut told me, like, yo, something's fucking wrong. So I tried to look for her as much as I could, day in and day out, day in, day out. For that entire, time span. I tried to look for her. I had reached out to friends, old coworkers who, I still had on my Facebook and that she had on her Facebook that was still good friends with her. Like, I reached out to family members of hers that I hadn't heard from her in years. Like, that's how worried I got. Because I was trying to find her and make sure she's okay. And nobody, heard from her at all. Whatsoever. Like, nobody fucking heard from her. Whatsoever. And it kind of was like, what the fuck? So, I find her new Facebook around, like, I'd say like the second week of March. I found her Facebook. And I seen that she put that she was in a relationship with this Dominic guy. And I'm like, what the fuck? Did he do that or did she do that? So I went to reach out. I went to reach out to him and be like, hey, is Kira there? Because I wanted to confront her and ask what had happened. Like, what went on? Like, is everything okay? Why are you putting that you're in a relationship with this guy? What the fuck is up? Well, Dominic did the one thing that completely just destroyed me as a person. Like, this shattered me to my fucking core. Like, this really fucking destroyed the fuck out of me. Like, more than any of the bad shit that's ever happened. You know, more than me losing my older brother to cancer, more than me losing, you know, two of my best friends to, you know, who have since, you know, passed away to various, you know, things. Like, this really hit so deep that I was not the same for over a month and a half. Like, I was a total fucking, I was not okay. Let's just say that. I was not okay. Well, Dominic answers the phone, puts it on speaker, sets it down, and makes me listen to him on call. And let me tell you, when that happened, my stomach, my heart sank, my stomach I got fucking sick. Like, I was totally fucking devastated. Because here was this woman that I had, you know, essentially grew up with and had known since fucking high school, who I had just gotten engaged to a month prior. After 13 years of being on and off, we had just gotten engaged. Like, we had just picked out our fucking ring. Like, you know, we just got done doing all that. Like, I just, you know, we had just picked out our rings. I had helped her pick it out. We literally picked out her wedding dress. We picked out all the stuff for the wedding. We already had it planned out. We had already, you know, had everything going, you know, and we were just working on getting me up there. And around that time, you know, when we were planning everything out, I was on the Cyraxx Nation channel. And that channel was popping off. It was doing good. I was making money. You know, I was doing good. And then, you know, me and her made the conscious decision for me to just, you know, get rid of that channel, and then I can restart when I get out there. That way it's more of a fresh restart. You know, away from the trolls. Me and her and Cal can do, you know, a family vlog channel. We can all make money, have fun, upload different kinds of content, you know, the whole 9 yards. That was our plan, was for me to move up there, and I would still continue my career as, you know, doing music and whatnot. And I would also help, you know, run the channel. I would do vlogs with Kira and Callum. Like, we had this whole plan in action. We were literally working on getting the money to get me up there to where she was. And, like, as soon as that happened, my stomach sank. I hung up. I called CIA and Old 45 both. Literally right away, like back to back of each other. As well as my best friend Matt. Like, I had called all three of them back to back. And then I was like, you know what, just let me get all three of y'all in a group call. So I did. I got all three of them in a group call because I was like, yo, I got something I need to talk to y'all about. This can't wait. Something's wrong. Well, I told all three of them what happened. They were just as shocked as I was. I did not know about this until the CIA told me. It turned out that William Glory Hole and them had planted Dominic in Kira's life. After studying her, after researching her, you know, after doing all this studying on her like they did with me. They had planted him in there. And what CIA found next, just, it it killed me. It fucking destroyed me because unfortunately I'm not able to do anything about it anymore, which fucking sucks. William Gloryhole and them had been, like Dominic had gotten Kira to a motel outside, somewhere in like New Jersey or some shit around that time that I had found everything out. Which is where that video was recorded at, that you saw. William was paying Dominic to secretly make of Kira. And Kira didn't know it. Kira did not fucking know it. Well, Kira had no idea that Dominic was doing this. And that's why in that post that, you saw that CIA sent you about from the and all that shit, that's what was going on. William Gloryhole was having Dominic, her now boyfriend or whatever, I don't fucking know if they're engaged or not, I don't fucking know, quite frankly, I don't care. He was having Dominic secretly record and send them to him and was turning around and selling them for profit. And I wanted to confirm this with CIA, so I had CIA go in and I had him do some digging. Turned out that actually was what was going on. They had even gotten a couple, private videos of me and Kira together. Which was like, what the fuck? Those were private. How the fuck did you get those? Whether they did anything with those ones, I don't know. I genuinely do not know. But that's where the whole thing of William selling, mentioning Kira in those posts, that's where that all comes from. Like, that's where all that comes from. And I had tried getting a hold of her mom. I reached out to her mom, tried to explain, like, yo, Kira's in serious fucking trouble right now. Something's wrong. I tried reaching out to her mom, her family members, old friends, and for some reason, just nobody was answering. And then, once all that happened, I knew I had to let go of her. Because I later found out, like I said, I found out about the sex tape shit. And then a few months later, well, actually it was like around April of last year, or of this year, that I had seen a video that Dominic and her had posted from their motel room, which I'm assuming is the one that you saw, which was completely bullshit. It was completely false. I had never once threatened that little boy's life in my goddamn life. At all. Whatsoever. If anything, I stepped up to be a dad to that kid. I stepped up. I was that father figure. I was dad to him. To Callum, I was dad. That's what he had always known me as since he was born. And to him, that's what I was. I was dad. To him, that was me. He saw my face, daddy. Like, when all that happened, when all that went down, all I could do for the next month and a half or so was just bawl my eyes out. Sick to my stomach. Barely able to eat anything, was just completely fucking devastated. Because me and Kira had so much history together. You know, so much fucking history. And the fact that all that could happen because William Glory Hole did not want me to be happy, fucking, it devastated me. Like, it truly fucking devastated me. And I'd be lying if I said that there weren't times where I still don't think about her. And I'd be lying if I said there weren't times that I don't miss, you know, Callum, where I don't miss, you know, spending time with Kira and living a normal life. I miss it very much. And the other day, when everything started going right for me, I started getting the label going and all that shit. You know, I wanted somebody to share that proud victory with. I did. Like, I wanted somebody to be able to celebrate that feat with. Like, you know, not just like, you know, my friends who already knew about it. But I mean, like, that special someone that I could be with. That could be my better half. You know, to share that moment with them. To be like, hey, this is what I'm doing with my life. I'm actually doing something. And that's where that came from that group post. And trust me, there are times where there are still times to this day where I still want to reach out to, you know, to try to talk to Kira, but I can't. Because that Dominic dude, who I ended up finding out is a fucking drug addict and a fucking troll, you know, is monitoring her phone pretty much 24/7. And it fucking kills me. Like, it genuinely fucking kills me to see that happening. And this is what I had, you know, this is part of what me and CIA brought up to you when me and you had first met and I was exposing William and I showed those screenshots of, you know, of him selling them and boasting about it on YouTube. That's what that was from. That's what that screenshot was from that. And let me tell you, it was bad enough when CIA confirmed it in Discord. That was bad enough. But to have, you know, the phone on speaker, to hear the woman that you love by another guy where you know you should be, that fucking destroyed me. Like, it tore me the fuck apart. Like, you can ask CIA for over a month and a half, almost 2 months at that point, that I was starting to get over it. Like, you can tell, like, I was not myself. I was depressed. I was sleeping all day. I didn't understand what happened or why it happened. Like, I understood what happened, but I didn't understand the why. I didn't understand why it happened and what went down. I didn't understand any of it. Like, it was to the point to where, when me and Kira were together, it was to the point to where I was helping her to try to get on disability. Because she had been mocked so many times and, you know, because she was born with one arm. She was born with one arm. She couldn't help it. Always being made fun of throughout since I had known her. And jobs were discriminating against her because of her one arm. You know, and they were thinking like, oh, like she's only got one arm, there's no way she'd be able to do it. When clearly I had watched this chick work at fucking McDonald's multiple times. Like, I've seen her work McDonald's counters multiple times. Like, and the reason I have seen this is because there'd be times when, you know, back when Facebook first became a thing and they had introduced FaceTime and all that shit, that was around the time me and her had first linked back up. And at that time, she was working at McDonald's or wherever it was at. And she'd be on break, and she would still be working behind the fucking counter, and then coming back, and then going back to work, and then coming back on break. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there in my mind, woman, sit the fuck down. Take a break. So, and I knew what she was capable of because I've witnessed it multiple times. And after, you know, about 2 or 3 months of her trying to get a job, me and her finally sat down and decided we're like, hey, you know, since discriminated against, why don't we just try to get you back on, you know, Social Security? And me and her agreed that that was the best move. And so that's what we were doing at the time when everything went down. So, yeah. Now you understand how everything happened. And it's because of William that it's hard for me to be with anybody. Because of people like William and N-Word Boy and all these people, that's why it's hard for me to be with anybody. Because they don't want to see me happy. Because people like William either, you know, they either scare them away with lies and all this other shit, or they threaten them. And they try to find out information about them and use that information to scare them. You know, it fucking kills me. So me and Kira, well, that's one thing that we really connected on right away when we first met back in high school. And the way we met back in high school is interesting. We were actually both part of a mutual Facebook group for the underground music group, ICP, or Insane Clown Posse, aka ICP. You know, we were part of that group for many, many months. And then me and her would talk all the time, back and forth, and comment back and forth on different posts and shit. And then we finally just were like, fuck it, let's just fucking at each other, fuck it. You know, so we did, and then, you know, me and her got to talking. And around that time was when FaceTime had just got introduced. So me and her would FaceTime all the time. Every day after school, every day before school, like we would always call each other, just like we did when we were, you know, together. You know, like that's how we met. But now you understand why it's so hard for me to be with anybody. I want to. Like, I want to be able to be with that person that says, hey, fuck these trolls. But like I said, that's hard. And that's why, to this day, I'm still fucking single as fuck. It's not that I haven't been trying. Not that I haven't been looking, because I have. But I've also been working on myself at the same time. I've also been, you know, working on not responding to the trolls, not giving them what they want, not doing what they want, even though it's hard. It is hard. Especially when they dig into your personal life, it becomes very, very difficult to, you know, not respond. And, you know, that's why to this day I'm still single as fuck. Because of people like William and N-Word Boy. Because they don't know how to leave well enough alone. They don't want to see me happy. And I know that William might put on this front on your channel. Like, I know that he might put on this, oh, I'm a good guy. No, he's not. He's not a good dude. And him selling those just shows that. Now, would I like to get back together again with Kira? God knows I would. But unfortunately, that's not the reality that was meant for me. Was it hard for me to move on and let go of Kira? 1,000% it was. I'd be lying if I said there weren't days where I still don't think about her and wonder how her and Callum are doing, or what actually went down that night, and what went down that day that, she had ghosted me. Like, when I say she ghosted me, I mean, she blocked me on everything. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Discord, you name it. Even blocked my fucking number. Like, she had straight out ghosted me. And Dominic, make that video saying that I threatened Callum's life, that boiled my blood something fierce. Because I had nothing but love for Callum. I had nothing but the utmost love and respect for Callum, for Kira. Not just as, a mother, not just as, somebody that I grew up with, not just as my fiance at that time when we were together, but as my life partner. I want to tell you, when I saw Kira's face in that video, I saw someone who was scared. I saw someone who had a look on their face that I had not seen in years. And trust me, that video still pisses me off to this very day. That shit still, to this day, pisses me the fuck off. But is there anything I can do about it now? Unfortunately, no. So, what did I do about it? At the beginning of last month, I basically forced myself to move on. Told myself that it was her choice. Told myself all this stuff. And, eventually it worked. Eventually I did move on. But, now I'm at that point to where, I just want to be happy again, I just want to be able to share my life with that special someone, to be happy, to live my fucking life, doing what I love as a career, making content, doing music, living my fucking life, doing my fucking job, and being able to come at the end of the day, figuratively, coming home at the end of the day and spend time with that person. And for that person to ask you, like, hey, how was your day at work? Or, hey, how'd everything go? It went good. And I want to be able to do the same thing for them. Like, hey, how was your day? Like, how'd work go? How'd everything go? And when I finally got my hands on the label that I had worked my ass off, that William and them are trying to take, which I am fighting them tooth and nail on, during that time when I first got that shit up and going, like CIA said, I wish I had that special somebody that, you know, is meant for me, that I am supposed to be with, that I could have shared that victory with. Because for me, it wasn't about like, oh, look at me, I'm a badass motherfucker. When I started that label, it was never about that. It was never about, oh, look at me, I'm a badass motherfucker. I went up the goddamn trolls. Look at me, I'm a fucking beast. No. It was never about that for me. It was about a small fucking dude who came from a family of hard workers who just happened to get a helping hand from a longtime friend who was finally able to make my fucking dreams a reality of being able to own my own independent label, being able to work alongside two of my best friends, being able to release my music that legitimately fans actually wanted to hear and do still want to hear. That's what all that was about for me. As far as the label goes, that's what that was all about for me. It wasn't about, haha, fuck you, look at me, I'm a badass motherfucker because I have my own label. No. It was simply about a small dude from a small fucking town finally fucking achieving everything I had worked so hard for over the better half of over 10 years. And that's why it pisses me off what William and them do. Because they do all this vile shit and they don't see any repercussions from it. They do not see any repercussions for their actions. And it not only pisses me off, it pisses a lot of people off. I found out last night that William and them are not liked by a lot of people. They are hated. And understandably so. And believe me, I want to stop these guys. I want to stop them from interjecting and interfering in my life. I do. I want to stop William, Marty, and Edward as much as I wish I could. I'm only one person. What am I going to do? I'm only one guy. But yeah, now you understand why I'm single. Because what William and them did. And I already know William's going to be like, you saw the screenshots. We already showed it to you. Screenshots. There's no denying it. There's not. Like, these people are evil. They are very fucking vile. They're very fucking disturbed. And honestly, I wish they would just leave me the fuck alone. I do. I wish to God they would leave me the fuck alone. Because it was bad enough when they destroyed my PC and my Xbox, which keeps me from making the actual content, the good content that I was making. It keeps me from doing that level of content where I was doing very well. That's bad enough. But for them to interject into my real life and ruin a relationship all because they don't want to see me happy and they want to see me suffer, fucking destroys me. Believe me, I want to be happy again. I want to have that special somebody again. But until that person either walks into my life or I find them or something happens, I'm going to be over here being single, which fucking sucks. But anyways, Katie, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If I don't hop on, it's literally because I've been trying to catch up on all the sleep that I've missed out on all these years of battling with William and Marty and N-word Boy and just dealing with troll shit. You know, my body's like just now catching up and shit, which sucks. So if I don't show up, you have this video that you can look back on. But with that being said, Katie, I hope you have a good stream, or have had a good stream so far. And yeah, I will see you whenever I see you, Katie. I hope you have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're at. Not sure where you're at, so yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. And I'll see you later. Peace.